We're going to a friend of mine's house. He has a 99 R34 that was brought into the U.S. way back over 10 years ago. And it's a fully legal car. I think that's the important thing to tell you guys, that he's probably one of the most knowledgeable people I've encountered about the Skyline.
It's the unicorn.
The unicorn.
The unicorn.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what that is.
That's the horn.
Yeah, that's the horn. Yeah. So without further ado, loud.
Sort of shows a little ghosting line, moves around, and then you can have any one gauge with 30 seconds of history. So it travels from the left to the right here. So if we bring the boost pressure up, you can see a little hump there, and it shows me how many seconds ago I hit it.
Nice.
So that's so right under here there's a serial port. You can plug it into your computer and configure it for 10, 20, or 30 times a second. And it'll spit out all the data from here, as well as a bunch of other data from the car, like whether you're touching the brakes or not, accelerator position, steering wheel position, everything.
You don't understand how long he talks about this car. He's obsessed with this car.
I'm obsessed with this car.
Yeah,
you are. What the heck?
Yeah, this car is amazing. No, this is by far the cleanest one I've ever seen. Yeah.
So under the hood, it's all stock, except for Nismo bolt-ons. Big intercooler here, a 4-inch core about. All the hard pipes that support it, so there's one on each side plus this guy here. Of course, the titanium strut tower bar. The oil catch can right behind the bar, and the right there is a Nismo. These hard pipes here. This scoop, a little bit more open than the factory one, and there is a high flow air filter inside the box. If you look real closely at the airbox down here, you'll see that it sticks into the fender of the car.
Oh yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, so when you buy the car, or if you have a stock one, you take the airbox out and you pull that piece out and there's a plug in it. But it's meant to be removed after purchase. You know, one of the many things that kept it down to a reasonable horsepower level from the factory, since they can only report it as 280 PS or 266 horse. So there was plugs and little hampering devices in the exhaust all over it to keep it, you know, looking right. Those bolt-ons have an ECU paired with it to take advantage of a little bit higher airflow. Boost was raised from 1 bar to 1.1. That's an Omari factory Nismo sports resetting ECU. So if you were to go to the Omari factory in Japan and get your car tuned, you could do sports resetting. You could do S-Tune, R-Tune, or for a very short period of time, the Z-Tune was available.
Okay.
So those were the 4 factory tune levels. So this is a sports resetting. It's the first tune level of the 4. The S-Tune would be next. It's 90% of the way there. It would need a camshaft and the ECU that supports the S-Tune. The R-Tune was a huge build. Thinner head gasket, higher compression, bigger turbos. Just not at all. S-Tune products were considered streetable. R-Tune products were considered race. So the R-Tune build is not something you see very often. And of course the Z-Tunes and the Z2 monster engine that no one even knows the horsepower of. No one's ever dynoed one, believe it or not.
No one's ever dynoed a Z-Tune. Wow.
No. So factory 280, sports resetting package 350, according to Nismo. S-Tune 400, R-Tune 450 horse, and the Z-Tune was only advertised as 500 plus. They actually never gave a number for it, so nobody really knows. But, you know, sometimes people tell stories, but I don't think anyone really knows. So,
how many Z-Tunes exist? 20?
They were supposed to build 20. They built 19.
Okay.
They shut down the program just 2 years ago. Up until 2 years ago, you could have brought yours in. But, you know, they bought original low-mile R34s, brought them in, stripped them down, built Z-Tunes out of them. 18 of them are silver, and 1 is midnight purple. There's 1 midnight purple Z-Tune.
Really?
Yeah.
1.
One.
Who owns that?
I don't know, but it's not someone in Japan. The car went up for sale about 4 years ago in Japan. Plastic still on the seats and less than 500 kilometers. And someone in Europe bought it for, I don't know, it was like $250,000, $300,000.
That has to be the most sought after R34. A midnight purple Z-Tune? I don't...
The 1 midnight purple.
The one,
yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Wow.
That would probably be the car.
The car.
If you were going to have just one, that would be the one to have. So,
jeez.
A lot of cars went away in 2002 because of emissions. The U.S. had a more restrictive standard. That's why, like, the Mark IV Super went away first.
Yeah.
And then Japan caught up with them. And this engine was never going to meet the emission standards they needed in Japan. And that was the end of the road for the R34 GTR. That being said, they weren't selling very many of them either. 11,000 units in 4 years. Half of them the first year in 99. So the second, third, and fourth year, a couple thousand a year. The last cars, the NER-spec cars, the M-spec, these were created to help sell the cars, is what I was told. They just weren't selling well near the end. Basically, the NER-spec, they put every N1 goodie on the engine and put a slightly more aggressive tune on it, but it was like a motor built for 600 horse, pushing maybe 350 from the factory. It was 4 tuners.
How many R34s do you guess exist today?
Well, out of 11,000, I don't know. I mean, they're expensive cars. They're worth saving even if they get torn up. So I say there's got to be at least 7,000 or 8,000 left. There's been plenty totaled. It's a collector car everywhere in the world. It's a car that turns heads in Japan like it does in every other country. So here's
Oh my goodness.
here's all your goodies, you know, for taking care of your car, right? And so you recognize all of these tools except maybe this one, right? This guy right here. So what he's for is adjusting the spoiler height. We go in here, take this panel off the car. It's a little tricky. And then there are 4 settings for the height of the wing. So you take this screw out, and there's a hole over here and a hole over here, and depending on where you made it up, you change the angle and the downforce on the car by adjusting the carbon section that adjusts. This is just a cool thing that not too many people know about. And it's just kind of a neat feature. So this whole panel's got to come out for you to see where all the computers are. Let's see what we can do here. Over on that side, there's a matching one, and that one's got some fluid in it for the rear steering. It is all-wheel steer. So, whoa. There's your rear stabilizer. Battery is a non-original, or the original R34 battery I've replaced with an Odyssey, and we've got some electronics and fuses here. And then to the right of that is the computers. One of those is the Tesla all-wheel control and the individual brake controls and all that sort of good stuff. So those are all the ancillary computers. The ECU is actually very similar to the 33. It just says fuel. And it's got the added feature of doing the key, the chip sensor.
Yeah.
And that's where all the other brains that people talk about being in this car are located. They're actually here behind the back seat and in front of the trunk.
All right. We're in R34
Ready to go?
Nissan Skyline. Let's do this.
All right.
So quiet.
Well, it's a touring car, right? Oh yeah, you feel every piece of road in this.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Just,
The original suspension was a little bit more forgiving than the S-Tune, obviously. And then, of course, the M-Spec had a suspension for comfort. It was a comfort-tuned version of the R34 for people who wanted one but didn't want to have a big, stiff suspension for track. So that's how this came to be.
it's so funny. You're driving by and people just
People either have no idea what this is, or
yeah.
they know exactly what it is.
exactly.
It's
extreme.
very little in between.
The details. You don't get them in videos.
No.
You got to sit down in this. The seat is incredibly comfortable. There's something about this. I'm speechless. I can't talk. I don't want to talk.
So early in its life, my buddy was driving it, and he took it up this hill, and he said, "Man, it got on in about third gear, right about here, and laid into it." And he got to that top of the hill, and he said, "Something's wrong with your fuel." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "It hesitated at the top of the hill." I said, "Yeah, you hit the speed limiter. You're doing 112 miles per hour."
No idea.
And he thought he might have been at about 80, and he was doing 112. So we were coming this way, so it was right about here that it hesitated. We got to the light at Mound, and this woman pulled up to us, and our windows were down, and she said, "I got your license plate. I'm reporting you guys."
It's the real deal. This isn't fake.
So two things happened to me the first time I drove this car.
Yeah.
I drove it over that Van Dyke hump there,
Yeah.
and a guy in like a EG hatch pulled up next to me, and I looked over, and he was going like this at the car when he drove by, and my wife couldn't believe it, because I said, this car, it's gonna, people are gonna recognize it, people are gonna react to it.
Now, are these N1 turbos or? Oh God! Oh my God!
All right, that's enough screwing
That's
around.
enough.
I got that on Snapchat.
Oh my gosh!
So we didn't get it up to the red line, of course. horse, but
Okay.
it's pretty good above 4,000 RPM.
How much horsepower is this?
According to Nissan, 280, right?
Yeah, according to Nissan. According to that gentleman's agreement.
Yeah, exactly. It's about 400 in this configuration. Crank. So.
You know what I really noticed about that pull you just did, how stable the car is. Nothing out of the ordinary. We were on rails.
Yep, absolutely. Every speed. And when you dig into it on the freeway and do the same thing, it just, you know, you get cars that start to do things at 80, and then they do things at 100, and then you get a little wobble at 120. This car just is exactly the same no matter what you're doing with it. It's
yeah, look at it. Yeah, film them.
Thanks.
Look at everybody. They're going nuts.
His girlfriend has no idea what it is. She's like, why are you talking to strangers? You know. Yeah. So I was at a car show once, and I had a guy talking to me about the car and asking a bunch of questions and whatnot, and then he offered to trade me as a girlfriend for it. She did not think it was funny. My wife did, though. She said, "But does she do laundry?" She said, "Well, that's a maybe then." And I said, "No, we're gonna hold on to the car." So. But I love driving it. I always have. You know, it was hard to buy because the car had a legend. It had a performance level that people talked about and told stories about. The stories were bigger than the car. You didn't really know if it was going to be a good performer. You didn't know if it was going to be a good car or not. You know. So you buy it kind of blind, you know. You say, well, I hope it's as good as everyone says. And I was not disappointed. Ever since I started driving it, I've been thrilled with it. There's just never been a regret. But I was scared. I was like, what if it's about half as good as everybody says? Well, if it's half as good as everybody says, it'll still be pretty good, right?
Yeah.
This car, in my opinion, is the ultimate definition of it's more than the sum of the parts. It's more than the numbers. It's more than the spec sheet. It's a great fucking car. And they cannot put that in the specs.
They can't put that on the brochure either.
No, they can't. And so, you know, over the last decade that I've owned it, you know, periodically I get somebody who's interested and I take them out for a ride, show them around the car, and they leave, and then they know that the car is not this much horsepower and this much torque and these gear ratios. They know it's a package that's indescribable on paper. So. Oh, there's another right-hand drive car in there.
Yeah, there's the mail truck.
You know, until you brought that up, I just now realized that.
You win. Oh man, here's the Subaru. He stopped.
They're going nuts. You're all over the internet.
Everybody wants to race. No, nah.
You can't get over it. It's the cleanest R34 ever.
This is both the fun and the scary thing about driving this car.
Yeah.
How people act.
Yes.
You know, they're driving and filming at the same time. They're moving around in their lane because they're trying to talk to you, and you don't want the side of the car taken off. You know, it's just not something you want to happen. So.
R34? Wow. Has it been repainted?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, it got dinged up a little by its first owner. So I had to sort a little of that out. Yep.
I saw you and I had to stop. I'm like waiting, I'm waiting, then I'm like, okay.
I heard you go by.
Okay.
I heard you rip it because we were sitting in the turnaround and I heard the motor. So then I saw you pull out of the neighborhood and I told these guys, I said he's probably just wants to talk. So.
Oh yeah, my favorite car.
Thank you.
This car just makes people happy, man.
That's what it does.
It's a happy machine.
That's part of the fun.
Wow. Thumbs up again.
So that huge trophy on the left, see it says best display?
Mm-hmm.
That's because of the sign I have for this car. Poster sized, right?
Mm-hmm.
Weighted bottom so you can keep it outside. And a friend of mine is a graphic arts guy, and I gave him the original hardcover brochure for this car.
Okay.
From Nissan. And I said, I want you to use this art style. And I'm going to give you the Japanese translations, and I want you to make an English and Japanese, like, bilingual sign that describes the car and the specs and the owner and all the stuff you would put on for a show.
Yeah.
So I used all the original 1999, fonts and artwork from Nissan that they used in their catalog, and then
Oh, nice.
so so the biggest trophy I have is not for the car, it's for the sign that I made.
Wow.
For car
Nice.
shows. So,
Nice.
Well, that's a great way to end it. All right, thanks, Dan.
all right, guys.
We'll see you later.
We rode in a Skyline today. Holy cow.
Greatest day ever.
I'm just really happy I know somebody who, has something that cool. Amazing piece of engineering that you don't really get every day, Skyline was amazing, and we'll see you later. And remember, subscribe, like, comment, and turn your notifications on, all that stuff, so I can get some more subscribers out there. I can make more content. Have a good day. Bye.